Hello. Don't make fun of my hair. My hair is all long and shit, but oh, excuse me for cursing. But so today, let's see here. Still waiting for people to come in, but I'm gonna read a word from Proverbs today that came at a perfect time. And I'm not gonna go into like the whole story, but I wasn't sure about something. And then I kind of listened to what my instincts were telling me. And then a little bit later, I found, or I opened up my Bible app on my phone and looked at the verse of the day and then read the whole chapter. The verse of the day was good. And I actually had no idea that the whole sharpens iron thing came from the Bible. But so that was cool. That was the verse of the day. And then I went to the chapter, and this is what it said. So it's Proverbs 27. Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. Let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth, a stranger, and not thine own lips. So basically, just be humble, basically. A stone is heavy, and the sand weighty, but a fool's wrath is heavier than them both. Wrath is cruel and anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy? So that's also, pretty nice, because envy is definitely something that I think most people struggle with. Even the most, I guess, the most strong of us all, I guess. Open rebuke is better than secret love. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. The full soul loatheth an honeycomb, but to the hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet. Just filling up your inner demons or voids, and with you know, just eating your feelings, basically. As a bird that wandereth from her nest, so is a man that wandereth from his place. Ointment and perfume rejoice the heart, so doth the sweetness of a man's friend by hearty counsel. Thine own friend and thy neighbor's or father's friend forsake not, neither go into thy brother's house in the day of thy calamity, for better is a neighbor that is near than a brother far off. Um, be son, or my son, be wise, and make my heart glad, that I may answer him that reproacheth me. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Take his garment that is surety for a stranger, and take a pledge of him for a strange woman. He that blesseth his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it shall be counted a curse to him. So yeah, it's like, in the morning, just be well, what I took from that is like, in the morning time, you could say the nicest thing in the morning, but if you say it loud, it's not gonna go over too well sometimes. A continual dropping in a very rainy day, and a conscientious woman are alike. Whosoever hideth the wind, and the ointment of his right hand, which bewrayeth itself. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. And that really stuck out to me too, because I realized, that's always like such a cliche that people just throw around, like iron sharpens iron, especially like, people in the fight world, right? Because it's like, okay, we're working hard, we're making each other strong. I'm surrounded by a bunch of other people with iron, but I didn't realize until just then that yes, that's important, but it's also important to notice, when people aren't iron, when you're not around other uh other iron, because it won't sharpen you anymore. Like, so the opposite is true. So it's important to pay attention to identify, you know, everything that isn't iron that's around you. Whoso keepeth the fig tree shall eat the fruit thereof, so he that waiteth on his master shall be honored. As in water, face answereth to face, so the heart of man to man. Hell and destruction are never full, so the eyes of man are never satisfied. As the finding pot for silver and the furnace for gold, so is a man to his praise. Hmm. Though thou shouldest bray a fool in a mortar among wheat with a pestle, yet will not his foolishness depart from him. Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks, and look well to thy herds. For riches are not forever, and doth the crown endure to every generation? The hay appeareth, and the tender grass sheweth itself, and herbs of the mountain are gathered. The lambs are for thy clothing, and the goats are the price of the field. And thou shalt have goat's milk enough for the food of thy household, and for the maintenance for thy maidens. So yeah, this word came to me at a perfect time, and it was like super restoring for me because I have been going through a period of like sort of doubting and sort of just kind of wondering and seeking God's voice. Then I also later kind of something just is I don't know something that was sort of interesting that spoke to me as well because I'm starting from the beginning as well. I'm going from I'm like in Genesis 1. Well, right now I'm in Genesis 35. I'm you know making my way through in addition to like say the verse of the day, so I can get a little bit of you know kind of a little bit of everything. Um, so Genesis 35. So I'm on Genesis 35, and it says, "And God said unto Jacob, Arise, go to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto God that appeared unto thee when thou fleddest from the face of Esau thy brother. Then Jacob said unto his household and to all that were with him, Put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean, and change your garments." So right there, I was like, I kind of related to that because just in our current time, like obviously this is like way long ago, so there's like you know they used to make like altars and things like that, and that to us just seems kind of strange unless you're like you know it kind of sounds like witchcraft crafty, I guess. That's like what I associate at least with an altar and things like that, but I guess it was more you know more normal and like kind of Old Testament type of stories. But then it said when this stuck out to me when he said, "Put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean and change your garments." And I was like, that just stuck out. That spoke to me because I was like, dang, I've been on my phone like way too much. Because I mean, imagine like a phone. I mean, that's a strange god. It's all knowing. You just type it anything you want to know in there, and it's very strange. Like, I mean, I don't know if you find phones strange, but I do. And but it just like it becomes like a false idol to many of us, and it consumes our mind. So obviously, like you know, you can have the Bible app on your phone, and it doesn't have to be like that. But you just gotta. But this is just a reminder to put them away that are among you, right? And be clean and change your garments. And then to me, I was thinking to myself, like, dang, like that's also kind of another thing that we don't like. Obviously, the only thing that's important is, believing in Jesus Christ and all these things like for your salvation. But you don't realize sometimes you just need to take a shower, clean up, like change your garments. And obviously back then, um, I don't know how much different it would be, but my assumption is that they probably were a lot more dirty, wearing the same clothes for a long ass time. But compared to like now, we just kind of, I don't know. I think I would assume we'd have more access to like just different clothing and stuff. But I do feel sometimes though, I see to like if I have like a realization or like a cleansing of my spirit, then I'm like, dang, I need to just like get rid of my old clothes and things like that. But or just change it up. So I don't know. That was something that stuck out to me too. Um anyway, so I'm trying to think if there was something else. And they gave Jacob unto Jacob all the strange gods which were in their hand. So to me, it was like, damn, more of a man. I'm cursing today. I'm so sorry. Uh, that's just yeah. That's just some the way that I grew up, and it's also like a bad habit. But um, but it's just like sometimes seems like that's the easier way to talk, But I'm not perfect, But no, so verse 4, and they gave Jacob unto Jacob all the strange gods which were in their hand. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like gosh. Uh they were in their hand, like phones. So and I'm not saying they had phones back then. I'm just saying like that reminded me of that. And then and all their earrings which were in their ears. So I was like, I don't know what that means, but I don't know. I just thought it was interesting and that kind of stuck out to me. And then I just kept, going on the rest of the chapter. But I guess I wanted to share that because, um, if you just keep praying and you just keep at it and just keep reading it, maybe things won't always make sense, but eventually something will pop out. And you just got to have faith. And so, yeah, so I guess out of everything, like those are a bunch of like little good things to go forward. And I think the more it's not that, doing all the right things, like you can't do anything that's gonna please God other than just have faith, right? But if you have faith, then that can lead you to him telling you how you're supposed to be and just the little things that can help you perform better so that you can you know, accomplish things according to his will. So, with that being said, I'm just going to take some of those ideas into prayer. And here we go. Thank you, Lord, so much for speaking to me through the word and for allowing me to share it with everybody today. Um, I ask that you forgive us, for maybe a lack of, uh, I don't know, selection of uh, the best choice of words sometimes. And we ask that you forgive us for any other impurities in our hearts. And yeah, we just thank you. We thank you so much for the wisdom that you give us when we seek it and when we believe and have faith that you will show us. Um, Sometimes it feels like we're waiting a long time, but you know, it's just sometimes those all of those things work work in our favor. We just have to believe. So we thank you so much for providing all those nuggets of wisdom. And we ask that you help us identify, open our eyes to recognizing the the iron that's around us that are like-minded, and we ask that you show us, or point out the non-iron in our lives. And we ask that you align us inside of our spirit um, to sharpen each other and to make each other better, and according to your will. And we pray um, that we thank you also for the freedoms that we have. We ask that you preserve these freedoms that we have and all the things that maybe we take for granted, the water, food, shelter, those type of things, basic physical necessities. But um, we also know that having our spirit filled is really all that we need, and everything else will kind of take care of itself, and it'll all work according to your will. So we thank you so much, and yeah, we ask that um, you comfort those that are abused, um, that are scared, lonely, hungry, tired. We ask that you appeared to those that are searching you. And we ask this all in your name. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, so we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Cool, man. So yeah, trying to think if there's anything else. Um, uh, yeah. So somebody said, I see some trolls in here and they take jabs at you. Your interpretations keep up the honest opinions. They're refreshing. So yeah, I mean, we don't all have to have the same interpretations, you know. But yeah, so anyway, that's just and that's another thing too, I think is I was talking to somebody about, you know, just discernment and things like that. And it's all um pointy right there, but it's all you just got to pray on it. Like don't take any of my opinions, you know, for take it with a grain of salt. Like read for yourself, pray it on yourself, and if it doesn't make sense to you, I mean, you know, you can always like seek out opinions. And there's things that don't always make sense to. I mean, there's so many things that don't make sense to me, but I realized that everything that needs to make sense will make sense in the proper time when it needs to make sense. So that's part of having faith, and that's part of also realizing, you know, that we're all not perfect and we all whatever. But I think if you just do the best you can with what you got where you're at, and you know, don't beat yourself up too much, but because I mean, yeah, like I said, there's nothing that you can do to please God except have faith. So with that being said, obviously don't take that as you know, you should just want to do good. It shouldn't be like this chore, like looking for um obviously it feels good. I mean, you know, helping people, giving to charity, things like that, making putting a smile on somebody's face like that internally like makes you feel good. And that's why you should do it. I mean, and it doesn't have to be this, you know, it's actually kind of funny. I was having another conversation with somebody with, you know, my brother, and he kind of sent an old clip from Ayn Rand, and this can go into some deep philosophy or whatever. But how she says like altruism doesn't is impossible because you can't do anything that's not selfish, and that's kind of true. I mean, to a certain extent, I think she's like an atheist or whatever, but and that is impossible if you think about it from a human like what she's saying basically it, without maybe even believing in God, is that we're all sinners. There's nothing we can do to not think of the self, right? Like you can even, I mean, you know, giving your life up for somebody else. I mean, you probably really love that person. So um in return, you're doing it selfishly, right? So there is no selfless act. However, if you just focus on God, then and now I don't know if I'm gonna make this proper connection, but it isn't impossible if you realize that um God is real, you know, and you focus on God, then yes, I mean, ultimately you can still do good things in a selfish way, but you stop really even thinking of the self because you realize you're connected to God and you're God's child. And so you're thinking about something that's outside of this reality. And so therefore selfless. But I don't know, maybe that's just, I mean, I'm also maybe that doesn't totally make sense. I don't know, just my thoughts. But but yeah, it's okay to be selfish, but what are your are you thinking about God? Are you thinking about, you know, just, you know, doing whatever you want? So anyway, um I think that's a good note to end on. And hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Anyway, yeah, well, Rose getting deep this morning. I know I stay deep, guys. I need a scuba suit because I'd be deep. So but I think that's the point. I mean, uh I heard I was
Did you say deep?
deep.
Did you say I need a snorkel because I'm so deep?
No, I said scuba suit.
Oh.
Yeah, right. And this just I'll just say one more thing before we go. But I was listening to some other YouTuber, I forgot his name, but he was saying something like, is it possible? Like he's like, one of my biggest pet peeves is people will say like, oh, you think too much, or you think about this too much, or whatever. You're too deep. It's like, how can you think about something too much? Now I get it. There's definitely like, you can get stressed out from thinking too much, right? But thinking too much, that's just a process, and I think you got to work some things out, right? And so for me, that's how I view things. Sometimes I do got to just like step back and just kind of like, okay. But I get what he's saying is that like a lot of times when you're going through that process, people will kind of like poo poo on you for thinking too much or being too deep or whatever. And so it's like, you know, I don't know. That's how can you think about something too much, right? Like how is that a bad thing? Um, unless if you're stressing yourself out, then that's different, right? But if you're just enjoying the process of like, you know, uh yeah, meditating on something, then it shouldn't be a problem. So and poo pooing anybody that's poo pooing on you for doing that. So yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna get started with the rest of my Sunday and hope you guys have a good one.